It is. I think you would love
The
it.
Substance. I haven't seen it. Natalie just saw it. Did you like it?
Finally. I loved it. I'm like the last one of any of our friends. I guess you haven't seen it.
I ain't seen nothing.
Yeah, of course. It was fucking great. I really loved that they did this take on like women's desires in a way that was like not from the male gaze, because movies like fucking Neon Demon, which I cannot fucking stand that
Oh my
movie.
God, I saw that with an ex a long time ago. We've dated for like a month. I don't know if you can call him an ex. And I don't think he liked girls that much. But he was like, I love this movie. Because it was very like women gotta shut up and be skinny.
Well, yeah, I think it was like with Neon Demon, in my opinion, that director doesn't understand women at all. So he was trying to express the like perils of Hollywood through a male gaze still, in that it was portrayed almost like women do things because they want me to be able to like want to fuck them. Like that was his mindset going into that movie, because he was like fixated on Elle Fanning, by the way, who was a child.
Really?
I mean, it's obvious to me that he is. Like, he's sexually fixated on this child who gets molested in the movie, by the way, as a minor.
She does, yeah.
Yeah.
And it is a big, like, pitting women against each other. Because I remember watching it and being like, oh, but I want the girls to be pretty and, like, shine through. And, like, I want you to get the modeling contract. But all the women were like, I hate you.
Yeah, it was definitely him making this concerted effort to be, like showing how dark Hollywood can be for women, but actually not.
Yeah.
Not at all. Like, he was kind of just like playing out this like really age-old trope, whereas with The Substance, it was showing women and the fragility of like culture around them in Hollywood as both sides are like fucked up, right? You're seeing women like really desperate for something. You're seeing the other side like taking advantage of them. Both sides are equally shown as kind of like unpleasant, but in a movie like Neon Demon, it is literally these women just being like, if only he would fuck me. Oh, I want him to fuck me so bad.
Oh, because all your problems go away when a cock goes in that hole.
But like when you see The Substance, you see like the Hollywood execs are repulsive, like because there's a scene where what's his name who plays the CEO, Dennis Quaid, who fucking crushed that character. He's telling Demi Moore's character that like it's time for her to go, and she's just staring him down like this while he's eating. They're at a restaurant and he's just slopping up shrimp, and it like sauce is all over his face and all this, and she's just like watching him like this, like having a mental break. And that's more an accurate portrayal.
I think so too.
Of being like, ugh, like I have to get through this like repulsive parasite to get to what I want, as opposed to. I just went on a diatribe, but I find The Substance a really cool, interesting movie in that way.
I've definitely had a Hollywood director whom I won't name, but he looked like a thumb with a beard. He just had crust in it. And then he shakes my hand. The first thing he says, he looks me up and down and he goes, yeah, we can work with that. Fuck you, buddy.
Yeah.
But anyways, it's 2025. He's dead. No, he's not. He's doing fine. It's
He's crushing it.
He's crushing it.
Really, it's just. I mean, there are guys definitely from the stunt community who are like my villains in my story, who are like awards winning stuff, coordinating over like the top shows, and everybody's like, "Wow!" And you're just like, "Man, that guy used to try to make me do horrible stuff, but that's fine."
That's fine. You know what? Fuck them, and we're gonna live our life the best way, and that's by the best revenge is living life the best. Being happy with yourself and loving yourself. I tell you what I did, because I know
I think the best revenge is chopping someone's head off.
That's true. Also, boo, I should fucking drop kick them in the nuts. But
no,
also,
you're right, Amber. You're right.
You're right. I went to a rave. Cortez.
Oh, you did. That's right. You went to what was it? Was it Blade themed?
I wanted to go to. Well, I've been like, AOC is just like, we got to come together as a community, and I know that means I should join like a basket weaving league.
No, she meant a rave. She meant go to raves.
Yeah, she meant go to raves, and like I'm sober at the rave because drinks are $20. I'm just dancing, and I'm like now on all these rave text lists that they're like, new warehouse party, come through, free before 1 a.m. And I'm like, yes. So I think this year I might just be a little more diabolical.
Wholesome raving.
Wholesome raving. Sober at the rave. I love it. I'm just there to dance. And I'm like, ooh, look at all this.
you're high on life, and I love that for you.
I love that, you know?
I know. I mean, I do think community coming together is good, and I don't think raves themselves are bad. No. I think sometimes you got to be careful with the drugs.
Whoa, Czar626.
Czar626.
A bunch.
Fucking popping off over
Thank
here.
Thank you, Czar626. Well, next Blade rave, I'm going to go to it. I ended up not going to that one. I invited
you went to a different one?
A different rave. Woo! At like a club warehouse. It was fun.
As long as you have to give somebody your location.
No. Downtown by myself. And I found like a Mexican punk venue in Boyle Heights. And I'm like, gotta go there next. I've got all these fucking plans,
Oh my
baby.
God. No, that just makes me, you have to be aware of where you're going.
Because freaking out.
Just because, did anybody watch the show, what's it called? House of Usher? Did anyone watch House of Usher?
I don't watch nothing.
I'm a Mike Flanistan. He's a horror director who does a lot of modern stuff on Netflix, and he did this really amazing series about different Poe stories. And there is a scene inside of a rave that is one of the grossest things I've ever seen in my life.
What is it?
I can't spoil it.
Tell
I
us.
tell you though, you should watch it. It is seriously one of the grossest things I've ever seen.
All I watch is Tubi. I watch Columbo. I'm 90 years old. I go to raves and I watch Columbo.
That sounds like an awesome retirement. I love that.
Who I am. I don't do nothing. But yeah, Flanagan. That's what they say.
Yeah, Flanagan is the shit fancy launch. I agree. I strive to be one day in a movie of his, just even if I'm tap dancing in the background.
You
or
can
something.
manifest that shit.
There is a woman I train with. I know we have to get onto topics. I'm sorry. We're going through a lot of what is it? Emotional duress as a country right now, so I'm just gabbing for a minute.
Right. I kind of go through TikTok when I'm waiting for the bus. I'm not on Instagram. I'm not on all these things. I just go to raves.
This is a fun story, and then we'll start talking about the other stuff. But obviously, the list is not. I'm making another sad thing happen. David Lynch just died, which is the worst. We hate that he died. It sucks. He's like one of the best directors of all time, in my opinion. But a woman that I've trained with a bunch in like aerial stuff. I hadn't known this story before, but she had revealed after his death that the thing that I would live off of as a story forever, I probably would just walk into the sea afterwards, was that she was dancing on stage like as a burlesque dancer, not necessarily exotic, but like in LA. And she gets off stage and someone hands her a note, and it's from David Lynch saying, you really remind me of someone I really love, and I really love your short hair, and I would love if you would be in my movie. And then she got put into Inland Empire. She was like plucked off of stage and I'm just like,
That's the dream right there.
I literally cannot think of anything that would be better in this fucking entertainment industry.
You skip the casting calls.
He doesn't do anything weird.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Do you know how rare it is to get a note from off stage and the man is like actually just putting you in one of his wonderful films?
That's amazing. Well, R.I.P. David Lynch.
God.
Beautiful man inside and out.
It's so true.
So shall we get to the topic?
Yes.
So somebody sent this to me on Instagram, and if you ever want to send me something, it's Amber Smelson.
Or you can hit us up at someplace underneath.
That's right, at gmail.com or on Instagram. Mm-hmm. And I'm very glad that they brought this case to my attention because I haven't heard it. And this is something that's very new. This person's been missing for a while, but she's still missing. And there's a lot of sort of weird connections that I think we need to look into. So let's give this video a roll.
Disappearance of Jahnay Bryan is a missing person case that took place this year and hasn't received much attention. Jahnay's last known location was Los Angeles, but what she was doing in the city and even how long she'd been there is a mystery. In 2023, Jahnay graduated from Cornell University. She was a bright young woman with her whole future ahead of her. Her sister described her as a natural leader and someone who people loved to be around. After graduating from university, she moved back to East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, and lived in a house that she shared with her mother. Over the following months, Jahnay fell out of contact with friends, and even close family members like her sister. The change happened gradually, so there wasn't a moment when her loved ones were alerted to anything strange going on. By April of 2024, Jahnay's sister hadn't heard from her in a while, and was beginning to grow worried. She didn't live nearby and wasn't in contact with her mother, so they asked the police to conduct a wellness check. The police visited Jahnay at her home and confirmed that both the young woman and her mother were still living there. Jahnay remained quiet, but in August, she reached out to contact her ex-boyfriend via email. This was actually the method of communication that she had last used to talk to her sister. The email read, "Gone for a few months. Back, moving to a new city Monday. Bye." It was a strange message to receive, especially as it didn't seem to be prompted by anything from the ex-boyfriend. Why Jahnay chose to inform him about the move over someone like her sister is a mystery. It's believed that Jahnay was still in East Stroudsburg when the email was sent, but it's not really possible to tell. The next email from Jahnay came from October 16th, and again she contacted her ex-boyfriend. The messages didn't seem to make much sense to him. They read, "I think we should get married, and I think we should work in the industry," as well as, "I was just in contact with the commissioner of the Department of Water Management in a city, and it's a brilliant idea." These might be clues as to what was going on at the time, but they could also just mean nothing. One clue was that Jahnay's email account was now set to Pacific time, indicating she was somewhere on the West Coast. In November, Jahnay's sister tried to get a hold of her again, but received no response. It was on November 13th that she was reported as a missing person. Not long after her family started to post about her being missing, someone in Los Angeles reported seeing Jahnay there. Friends visited West 8th Street, where she'd supposedly been seen. Many people there reported seeing someone that matched Jahnay's description, but nobody could actually point them in her direction. On November 19th, the LAPD issued an Ebony Alert. This is a specific missing person alert when an African American between the ages of 12 and 25 goes missing. In a press conference that came with the alert, the LAPD stated that Jahnay had last been seen at around 9 a.m. on October 16th near the 2000 block of West 8th Street. Who saw Jahnay at this point and how they knew her is a mystery. The date is significant though, as it's the same date as the last emails she sent to her ex-boyfriend. It's unlikely Jahnay willingly disappeared. Before she went missing, she told a friend that one of her biggest fears was being kidnapped, and she asked them to look for her if she ever disappeared. Jahnay is described as being 5'7" and 125 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. Anyone with information can contact the LAPD Missing Person Unit.
Yeah, Missing Person Unit at 213-996-1800.
Yeah, that's a very it's a very strange case. My heart goes out to her and her family. I hope she's safe wherever she is. But the boyfriend question, that's always a little suspect to me.
Yeah, no, that's those texts are.
It's just weird, like going off to California, bye. Like, who does that to your family, especially when you were living with your mother?
Yeah, I mean, generally that's going to, right, somebody else wrote that, I would imagine, would be the...
That's just kind of what it seems like, but we don't have any evidence, any proof. But if you see her in downtown Los Angeles, please report her to the proper authorities.
You know, or anywhere.
Anywhere.
It's so... The thing that's really sad about these kind of cases, and it's like there's no evidence right now that it's trafficking, but if it was in any case, they're sent to the wind. Like it's so tragic.
And there's so many people in downtown LA. Like when you go walk around, there's Skid Row. There's even like, I find, and I don't know if she's there, but I find like the places around Skid Row, like around the plant section, are very dangerous because Skid Row, this is explained to me by somebody that works down there. They said, well, they get a lot of like
outreach there and stuff.
Yeah, outreach. They get a lot of help from LA. So Skid Row gets their own food and blankets and clothing and things. So if you're acting up on Skid Row, the people will kick you out.
Right.
So when you walk, because me and my girlfriend, we were walking around the plant district, like, let's go get some plants. And then I was like, wait, that group of people staring at us. Wait, no, that. And then like people were just like screaming and started charging at us. And I was like, we have to go. And she was like, it's okay. And I was like, I just grabbed her hand and I was like, we go now. And I'm usually just like, I'll walk through anything. I don't care. But that was like spidey sense.
Sometimes, yeah. So I think sometimes too, maybe they get pushed to the edges because they are unstable and they don't know how to regulate or do anything like that. I'm not trying to be like, Amber, actually, they are mentally ill and you can't be mad.
I think they just didn't want me on their territory.
Probably that
like,
too.
This is my turf and you don't walk through here. And I'm like, but I don't have a car. Like, how do I explain that to somebody that doesn't give a fuck?
They won't probably care.
No, but I don't have a car. Please, I just want to get a plant. I'll carry it back on my head. But nobody cares. But yeah, watch out when you're walking around. Some places in downtown LA, they just don't want you there.
You just gotta be aware. That's all.
Be aware. That's it.
There's like so much fun stuff in downtown LA. There are really cool spots. I love the Fashion District, which is right by Skid Row too. But you have to keep your head on a swivel. You can't.
Santee Alley's great. Love Santee
love me
Alley.
some Santee Alley.
You just keep your head on a swivel. That's it.
Yeah, that's all. But it is, it's a downtown city, and it's one of the biggest cities in the U.S. And California gets a lot of bullshit for saying that we have this huge unhoused population, but it's because a lot of your states try to just throw them in the ocean, and we don't. So
and they ship them here. I was taking the subway. This was a few years ago, and this guy had a bag of money, and he's like, "Do you have any change?" He's like, "I'm sorry, I don't have any." But we were chatting, and he said, "Oh, I'm from I think it was like Kansas or Ohio, like somewhere middle of America." And he said, he said the authorities gave me two choices. They say you can go to jail, or we give you a one-way bus Greyhound ticket to LA. And he took that, and I was like, wow.
And then that state can go, oh, you own all of your homeless people, and it's
right, like you ship them
you
here.
It's the Giuliani method, where it's just like, just erase them. Problem solved.
Yes.
M&M store. Right? Here's a positive update. I think it was season 3. Don't quote me on that. We covered a story about a man named Emmett Brock, who was driving in Los Angeles. He flipped off a cop casually while a cop was on the side of the road, I assume being a dick. But regardless, even if the cop was doing nothing, you're allowed to give them the finger. It's not a crime. They weren't being in any other way antagonistic. Literally, traffic, Emmett flipped the cop off, which is within his legal right. The cop became a whiny little piss baby and decided that wasn't acceptable. So he followed Emmett for blocks and blocks. Emmett got freaked out because the cop was just tailing him for no reason and kind of intimidating him. So he pulled into a convenience store parking lot, and the cop came up behind him, literally body slammed him face first into the ground, basically just like battered the hell out of this guy. Took him into the police station without any legal right to do so. They booked him, forced him through a strip search, mocked him for being trans, and then kept him in prison, and he lost his job and everything. But so this was I think this was 2-3 years ago, and just recently, this article in CNN just came out December 26th of last year. LA Sheriff's deputy fired, agreed to plead guilty amid federal investigation into beating of trans man. The video is really fucking rough to watch if you decide to watch it.
It's from the convenience store, right? Mm-hmm. It's not even from his body cam.
Oh, I'm pretty sure he turned it off, if I recall. But yes, that is from the convenience store footage that you can see the attack. I think he turned it off, except you can hear audio. There was something with that. It's been a minute since I went over this case, but yeah, Emmett Brock was 23 at the time, was a teacher, got fired because he was in jail. And he had to go through this huge process. And we actually got a very lovely email from him recently thanking us for covering him, which meant a lot to us. But it's good news. So the deputy is fired, and there was also other people who have been relieved of duty who were participating in this situation.
Oh, the people harassing them in jail?
The people as he was being booked through the jail who were not even treating with human rights, because it's probably a little good old boys community, and if we get to it, we'll talk about a different good old boys community in the cop world. I don't know if we're going to get to it today, but it's pretty bad. But so yeah, I think Emmett was experiencing what a lot of people experiences in precincts who have a bully system. One of their boys brings somebody in, they're going to fuck with them. And kind of ruined his life for a little while, but there's actually stuff is moving forward. So we're happy to hear that.
Yeah,
that's good.
Forward a little bit.
A little bit of something good.
A little bit of something good. The nurse who was manhandled for refusing to let a cop draw blood got a settlement recently too.
Good.
Lost in houseplants.
Good. We have to take the little wins when we can, guys, especially right now. Like, we got to take a little bit. We got to take the W's.
Yes. And a lot of your like when you sort of comply, because a big part of why, how do I say this? The people who are in charge of us, they want to do the shock and awe. So then we're just kind of like, they give us all this bad information. So then you just kind of sit back and then you're too shocked to move. And then they can kind of do whatever they want. Recently, there was a school in Chicago that the ICE agents went to it. And every single teacher said, no, you can't come in here. CPS said, no, you can't come in here. The parents said, no, you can't. And you know what? They turned away. They walked away.
It does take community sometimes.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it takes a lot of raves.
Don't you think I think
You should go hit up your local warehouse.
Yeah. Don't just go traipsing in different warehouses. That's not what we're requesting. Don't you think a little bit that was what Elon's plan was with the sending his heart out to everybody as he was? Distraction.
It's an obvious.
Do you think it was
he did? And then now they're saying no, he has this autism.
Yeah. It was
it's like,
definitely...
don't gaslight me. At least just tell me this. But that's a part of the plan.
Do you think? Okay,
It's
guys out in the
your
chat,
eyes.
do you guys think he did it to distract from all the other shit, or do you think he did it as literally a geriatric troll, like an edgelord who is reaching elderly age because he wants 14-year-olds to think he's funny?
He did it as a troll. Is that
what you think?
He's speaking at the ADL conference in Germany, and the ADL is a far right party in Germany.
No, didn't you see? He stood next to Ben Shapiro at the gate of Auschwitz. He can't be. Didn't you know?
I don't understand.
He used his son in that photo op as a target and practiced just like a shield around him.
Dear God.
Have you seen that photo?
Yes, I have.
Unbelievable. But again, another gift we got from this was Ben Shapiro being absolutely roasted, lambasted in his comments, like he did with the Luigi videos. Everyone's unified in the comments, just being like, how are you sucking the testicles of this man right now?
Right. I do think that there's more people that agree that there is a top and down problem more than a left-right problem, because there's like a handful of corporations that run everything, and they're making us all poor, and we're going to get poorer day by day by day.
No. The people are back in the White House, the tech oligarchs that were there for the inauguration. The people's house.
Oh my God. I found a news story, and I didn't do enough research on it to talk about it today, but maybe next time. But I will say that Kroger is going to implement face reading technology to show you different prices. And this is technology that has been going on around
to show you different prices in what way?
In the grocery store. And some people are saying, it's because some prices could be inflated for others. I don't know why or how or what or who, but it was on Newsweek.
I'm not saying that that's out of the question. I don't know if we're there. Maybe we're there yet. I don't know, Amber. They do face technology in airports now, and I don't care because that gets me through faster.
Well, I remember the first time I did face technology, I was coming back from Germany, and I was waiting through customs to go through to speak to a gate agent, and they ask you the basic, do you have anything from Germany? And I was like, no, everything I got was at the airport, basically. And and they said, hi, welcome back, Amber. And I'm like, how do you know my name?
Big fan.
Big fan. He's a fan of SPUN. This might lead us into our next story as far as robots, computers, techno oligarchies, and that is
which one's next?
The wealthy guy saying robots are taking our jobs.
Oh yes.
Should we just talk about that? Is that okay? So
you tried to segue it smoothly and I ruined it, so I apologize.
No, you're doing great, Natalie. So there's this Swiss guy who's a billionaire, and he went to this tech conference and said that this is the last batch of CEOs they're going to have to deal with all human workers. And he says, I meant it in a way of humans and AI are going to work together. But anybody with two brain cells together says, no, you're going to take away the workforce and replace it all with AI. And so I think the reason why you see a lot of resentment and anger online and in the world is because nobody has any money. We're just getting more broken.
What, people, they want money?
People need money to live? I thought you could just like pray for your rent.
No, Amber, don't you know money can't buy happiness?
No, it can't buy happiness. Just get my yoga retreat for $500.
Who was I just screaming that at? I feel like I was just on a stream already screaming that, but if a rich person ever says to you money can't buy happiness, they deserve slapped in the face because they are
slapped the masses in the
fucking
face.
lying to you.
But let's pull up this news article. This is the guy, Mark Benioff. Never heard of him before.
Mark Benioff? I don't know how you say that. Malk.
Yeah. Basically we're all going to be replaced. And the thing with AI is how it was designed. It's kind of like when you teach a little child many different languages. So for a long time, they're not going to be able to speak. They'll understand it, but they don't know how to put two and two together. And then when they start speaking, they'll speak, like Cosmo and Sina's child, they can speak Japanese, they can speak Spanish and English.
Little Farsi.
Yeah, a little Farsi. It took him a long time to put it together, but when he does, now he's like there. So the same thing is going on with AI, and it made a jump recently. So we're not only going to have to not trust what we see on Meta, but some of the videos we see, because they look pretty realistic.
You're right. And I'm going to the only caveat I would offer to that is, as technology progresses every time, people adapt to learning about it. So I do think it is a danger, but I also do think people adapt to it, and that there will be tells no matter what. And I do think that we're still a ways off from them really, AI really understanding the nuance of human beings. And
True.
We can detect it to an extent now, even though a lot of people seem confused by ads.
Right. Maybe it's kind of like we're early humanoids. And I think we have this uncanny valley because, we were Homo erectus looking at Neanderthals being like, but you're like us, but not quite. And that's why we get freaked out by something that looks like human, but isn't quite. So maybe we're undergoing, we are a modern era of early humanoids.
I personally love uncanny valley, art, which is sort of what AI is right now, where it's like sometimes unexplainable why something doesn't feel right, Uncanny Valley, where it looks almost correct like an organic thing, but it's not. I think sometimes it's kind of fun. But I don't think AI should be used in people's art, obviously taking people's artwork and stuff is
in
bullshit.
the video I showed earlier, there was an AI of the woman typing, but I think that was just a filler. I tried to find something that wasn't AI, but that was the best video I could find.
I mean, sometimes it's going to creep in there a little bit. You would think with all of these jobs being taken away, JD Vance could shut the fuck up about having babies born in this country.
It's just to control women.
It's what are these people going to do? They can't even work in a factory. Don't you want them here so they can pull livers for you? And now they don't need to.
Yeah.
So what are they going to do?
They're just mad at women because women sort of collect. Well, I don't know what I'm saying. Cineanthium, the human, says an AI customer service bot in a call center doesn't need to understand a lot of nuance, and this is still super profitable for a ton of use cases, even if it gets some stuff wrong. I don't know. I'm a software engineer, and this is crazy. So even the smarty pants know it's crazy.
Oh, absolutely. I'm definitely not arguing that. I mean, we heard during the healthcare incident that one of the reasons people are really mad at some of the healthcare agencies is because they're using AI to determine whether or not somebody can be covered, and then they die because the AI is just inaccurate.
Right. It was like a 95% failure rate.
It's like they already are not accepting most of it anyway. Why do you need to add this element into it? You need more money? It's always with these motherfuckers. I'm cursing a lot today, but I'm saying bad words.
It's a Christian show.
It is. So I don't. It's the idea of just the greed of it. The money hoarding is such a sickness, but we treat it like they're amazing, but they're actually diseased.
It's a disease. Well, I was reading a book and it was talking about happiness a little bit. And it said, if you're very poor, obviously money's going to make you happy. But if you have a certain level of income and you get $100,000, you'll be happy for a month, because you'll now get a better case of wine, a nicer car. But then after about a month, this is your lifestyle now. It's kind of it's just dopamine.
But
That's
it's
all
like
it is.
it barely even is dopamine. It almost becomes, it seems like the only feeling you have left is to make other people feel like less than you.
Right.
Because there is literally a point where you could never spend that amount of money for 4, 5, 10 lifetimes, and you're just hoarding it.
Well,
you
they
don't even
use it-
have, like, there's no plan.
Oh, well, they make a plan. One of them is a big monorail that's going to go from Saudi Arabia to Israel. That's one of them. I think 20,000 men have died making it so far. Starlink is
That's
another
real.
case. That's real. So they just use it to make wealthy. It's for wealthy people.
But it's like even the dystopian idea that they're making plans to get to Mars or whatever, they're really not doing that much to do that. They're just, it is literally mental illness.
It is. And by the way, if you're going to Mars, get those 2 astronauts that are still up there, because they've been up there for almost a year. Remember those 2 people? It was supposed to be up there for a few days, and I checked the other day, they're still up there.
They are?
Yeah.
Jesus, there's so much going on.
These
These poor people, because there's so much happening down here. I feel like nobody has time to think about them, which is really upsetting.
Get them down. Czar626 says, I have a master's in computer science, psychology, and studio art.
Damn.
And this shit is insane. And it is, but it isn't dopamine. Yeah, I know what I mean. Like, you have to hit that happy button in the brain till you die. But that is hard to actually reach that point.
Well, especially because, like, isn't pure dopamine something that would actually give you a sense of, like, I don't know, maybe I'm just not cynical enough. I feel like dopamine really only works if I'm feeling like I've not hurt a bunch of other people. I guess, I don't know. Maybe I'm a cuck.
My dopamine is when I play the game Blockbusters and I get the blocks together.
I mean,
and
that's
they
true.
go, "Ooh,"
I have a fucking in-app game issue myself. I do that.
Oh, look, we have an aerospace engineer as a fan.
Damn.
Oh, my God. Mars is a pipe dream. We need to focus on our own dying planet first.
I
Smart
totally
people
agree.
in our chat.
I totally agree. With no knowledge or like background to say that, I do agree. But I love anything to do with like space travel. I love learning about it. I hope I get to see more of space before I die, like us being able to like expand and explore in some way. But the idea does feel like getting to Mars right now is this like sort of superficial, like egotistical project that doesn't actually help anybody. I don't know. That's what it feels like.
That's what it feels like. I think if you want to explore space, you got to explore in here first.
Oh, God. Well, then we're doomed because they're not going to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you guys. By the way, for we're on episode 9 of this season. We're having a good time with it. I'm happy with these last few episodes, and I wanted to see if anybody had watched the Netflix show American Primeval.
Oh, first of all, Fancy Lacey says, want me to send you some stuff that's been in space? Yes.
Yeah.
What's the P.O. box?
Does it have some kind of harmful bacteria that's going to cause like mutations? Because that'd be kind of fun.
Pretty fucking cool.
I'll try it.
P.O. box 4.
Is it on there? I have no idea.
Kelly's put it in chat.
Okay, great. Thank
All right,
you.
Thank you. But yes, so Natalie has a new TV show. If it's Columbo, don't know if I'm watching.
It's not my show, just so we're clear. I'd love to take credit for it.
No, if
but-
you were on a TV show, I'd for sure be watching.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Our friend Eve, her new show just started. Watson, I think.
Oh, okay. I'll check it out.
I forget. I'm sorry, I'm not a very good friend. I'm trying to promote it, but I
Watson, I think.
I think it's Watson.
TV show.
It's a Sherlock show. Sorry, Eve. I love you. American Primeval. Has anybody watched it?
I watched some.
You watched them back here behind the screens. We got a James. It is historical. It's not a documentary of any sort. It's like a dramatization of a period of time in the beginning of the States that actually is a lot to do with Mormonism. And so it's coming out at a convenient time for us, but we covered like the history of Mormonism really briefly at the beginning of this season. It's not something that I'm super versed in. I wanted to cover more about the crime aspect of everything going on, but this actually does cover a big crime controversy in Mormon history. This show, it's I forget how many parts it is, maybe 5, but it covers something called the Meadow Mountains Massacre, and it's a really fucked up part of Mormon history that they tried to hide for a long time and pretend like it didn't really happen.
Oh, you were telling me about this, and it made me mad.
I really recommend. Yeah, it's a bummer. It's first off a really great show. I had made jokes about how the Mormon beginnings were near the decade that the show Deadwood happened on, because I can't. My references are all just like based on TV shows I've seen before.
Oh, like time reference, like the Egyptian lady Cleopatra. She's closer to the invention of the iPhone than the building of the pyramids.
Yeah, so like things like that. So like, Mormonism was coming up and being moved to Utah as the United States was also colonizing that direction, and they were sort of like clashing with each other when that time period was like the mid 1800s, and so this show actually kind of has a Deadwood vibe to it, even though it's historically kind of accurate. They don't say that they're showing this fully correctly, but the LDS Church has made some statements about the show. I think I have the article there?
Oh, so when I was on my Mormon mission, this was always a really touchy topic.
Yeah. LDS Church unloads on American Primeval, calls inaccuracies and stereotypes dangerously misleading, which is rich, I would say. The guy who made it, whose name is, if I can find it quickly, the director, I think he did a great job, but
Peter Berg?
Yes, what is his name?
Peter Berg, the director?
Peter Berg.
Oh, look at this. Very smart. More smart people.
Man, all these smart people, I feel bad for how dumb I am. But
You're not dumb.
But thank you for being here. So he has said in statements, because people are now, of course, approaching him and saying, what do you think about what the church said? And he's like, I'm not making this completely accurate. It's never meant to be literal. But he's like, for example, I showed the massacre happening within, like 2 hours, but it actually took place over 3 days.
Damn.
So it's like, yeah, you're right. He's not showing it completely accurately, but he's not actually making it you guys seem worse than you were.
A massacre taking place over 3 days means like you're not going to sleep.
I don't know. I've never been through a massacre personally. I'm very lucky to say, but it seems
take like a nap and be like, they're coming for me.
I don't know. I don't know how that works. I think maybe it's like sort of stakeouts. Like it's an ambush in a way that they are able to kind of attack being while hidden.
Right. Or is there sort of like some kind of like law that's just like, hey, when it's nighttime, no fighting?
You mean like moral code?
Like a moral code?
I don't think so, because what they did was pretty fucked up. So obviously it's known as the Wild West for a reason. It was a lot of people trying to take the lands from indigenous people and set up their own laws, including the United States. But at the same time, Brigham Young Mormons were saying, like, actually, we're starting a state here, too, and it's going to be our own place, and we're making our own laws, and Brigham Young's the governor. And the U.S. was going, no, we take this land from Mexico. And Mexico also took the land from the indigenous people who were already there. So, it's a big clusterfuck of just like a pissing contest, essentially. I don't love anything about the original Mormonism stuff, but they were just all a bunch of different colonizers all fighting each other. And they'd also made some alliances with the indigenous people who were there too, because it's real life and people make relationships, and even though they were being colonized. So in the Mountain Meadows Massacre, there were pioneers who were trying to pass through the land that Brigham Young had claimed already, and they weren't Mormon. They were just trying to pass through, and they weren't attempting to like take anything or like start a thing. They weren't being aggressive. And they were approached by this one group of Mormons saying, hey, you're on our land, you can't be here. And they're like, we're not leaving, we're going to be gone, like just fuck off, kind of.
Yeah.
And they went, okay, peace be with you. And they left. And then they came back with bags over their heads and just massacred everyone over the age of like, I think 5-ish. It was basically, they said it was the dead man tell no tales thing. So they enacted this massacre, killed children, killed all the wives, killed all these people. And then tried to pawn it off on the indigenous people they were aligned with. So they did this huge massacre, and then they're like, it wasn't us. I don't know. It must have been those guys, the ones that we made an alliance with. Fuck them. I mean, such a white person
So
move.
they just blamed other people, even though they did it.
And yeah.
The Sultan of Swat says Brigham Young was a big believer in blood atonement. So the settlers were killed just because they were from a state that had killed Mitt Romney's great-grandfather.
Yes, so that is totally true, but there is most people who study this really heavily say that that wasn't actually for blood atonement, that this guy who was a Brighamite went outside of Brigham Young's command, did this like almost like a gang, and then stole all of their cattle. And that it wasn't necessarily blood atonement because they weren't doing it in a way to justify it. They were saying like, you know, we had to, and then like kind of just made excuses. And essentially also they were pointing out that it's not blood atonement because they weren't, this is what academics have said. This is not me coming up with this, but that you're supposed to have sin starting at the age of 8. That's like, once you're 8, you're going to be in trouble if you're going to sin. And so they were still killing 6, 7, 8-year-olds and under. So it wasn't like they stopped at 8 because it was, it was just like a mob more than anything. And they went outside of Brigham Young's directions according to, I still kind of don't know, because I feel like my opinion on it, and we're going to talk about this on the season at one point. We didn't talk about it in the history part because I wanted to bring it up later, but Brigham Young doesn't get credited with making this massacre happen. But it's kind of like, didn't he though? It's kind of like saying, well, he didn't say to go do an insurrection, at the Capitol. He didn't say it. He just said like, there's going to be disaster if...
Yeah, and then I love you.
Yeah.
Please go home, I love you.
Yeah, I love you. Don't, it's fine, I guess, if you want the entire society to collapse.
Oh my God, do you know one of those guys that was pardoned was like killed by a cop in a traffic stop?
Oh, no, are you talking about Pizzagate guy?
I don't know if he's Pizzagate guy, but I know he's a guy that was pardoned from January 6th, and he was stopped by a cop at a traffic light and then just started harassing this guy, and then it evolved, and then he died.
I didn't know about that one, but the guy who stormed Ping Pong Comet.
Oh my God! Yeah,
the guy who was trying to go find the basement with Hillary Clinton's child sacrifices. He was just killed in a traffic stop. So,
oh
yeah,
damn. You know that guy that dressed up like the shaman thing? He tweeted like, "I'm about to go buy a bunch of guns."
Yes, he did.
He got out, and then like I think it was a CNN reporter or some like more like left-leaning reporter was just kind of questioning on it, very light, and he was just like, "Yeah, you stupid bitch!" Like he just started making fun. Oh, BBC, because he's making fun of her British accent. That
guy sucks. No way. The guy with the horns.
No way. I was watching the whole thing and I was like, this guy sucks.
Yeah, he definitely sucks hard.
Sucks. But he's going to get his dick sucked because there's a lot of young MAGA girls out there. Don't suck his cock, please.
I don't know.
If you're a young MAGA girl, please don't suck his cock.
I feel like that's more, and this is not an insult, but I do feel like it's more like moms are going to suck his cock.
Oh, my sweet. He's just a sweet boy doing nothing.
Yeah. I get that. I get that sense from him. He's like an innocent little boy.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the massacre. So yeah, basically the Netflix show is kind of portraying that entire situation. The Mormon Church has acknowledged that this happened in more recent decades. They have taken the accountability in a sense, but they're not happy with the way it's shown, and they're saying it's completely inaccurate. But I think it's very funny because they're not like pointing out things that are inaccurate. They're just saying it's not showing it correctly, and then sort of just being like, see, more liberal propaganda. And they're not explaining why. But they did make this movie in the 90s. The Mormon Church made this movie in the 90s called... what's it called? Legacy, A Mormon Journey.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sorry, I stepped over you.
No, you're good. Legacy, A Mormon Journey is a movie they made. It's not about the massacre, but it's about a similar time period, about them going across the country in their wagons and all of the hardships they came across. But in this movie, they don't portray indigenous people at all, and they also don't portray the polygamy that was happening at the time.
So who's the liar now?
So it's this movie supposed to be showing their heritage, their history, and it's just the most fluff nonsense. Also, I just saw this, somebody speaking about this too. I think it was Alyssa Grenfell. They do, if are there any Mormons in the what's it called? Jesus Christ. Feed? Chat. If there are any former or current Mormons in the chat, apparently they do this kids thing where they take, they go across like they cosplay as pioneers, and then they take like the trek as like a kids activity, and people have died on it before.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's not like my church camp at all. We went canoeing. Gloomy Ghost says, fun fact, the very first Sherlock Holmes story was about a mystery killer revenge killing Mormon missionaries in London for atrocities committed by Mormons in Salt Lake City that led to the death of his daughter. So it looks like everybody don't like Mormons.
I'm not doing it because I don't say these things and talk cheekily about them just because I don't like how they act or I don't like their way that they dress. It's because I don't think they should be allowed to get away with crimes just because they are saying that they are a church.
Yeah,
that's my whole point in doing this.
Crazy. Zara626 says the idea of the less dead has been an unfortunate and horrific staple in the Black, Afro, African American, African descendants communities since day one. As an Ethiopian woman, I had a nightmare about this where I got a younger black girl, where I and a younger black girl knew black women. And knew black women were talking while already dead.
Or walking while already dead.
Oh, sorry, we're walking while already dead. And then I had to calm down my boss who didn't know how to face their whiteness, privilege, or white privilege. When I woke up, I couldn't even bring myself to cry because this is daily for
BIPOC women.
BIPOC women. Oh my God, that's such an intense dream.
Yeah, I mean, that anxiety is, I'm sure, like endless. All day. I can't even, like, I have obviously no way to perceive what that feels like, but just being a lady with all of the privileges I have sucks, and so it's going to suck a lot more, for women of color. That's fucking intense, man.
I had a dream before where I accepted my own death and ending. Czar, oh God, woo, that's very intense.
Sorry, guys. I was in the middle of typing something when that happened. I'm not ignoring you.
It's the walking while already dead. That's so, like, I can see it in my mind. That's horrific.
Ugh, God. I went on a side quest over there. I'm sorry.
What's your side quest?
Oh, it was not important to the story of this conversation. I was looking up Eve's show before we started this conversation. I'm so sorry. But yeah, so that I think somebody in the chat said that the Mormon child's activity is called Trek. Let me look this up.
Yeah, we went canoeing.
Pioneer treks.
No pioneer treks. None for me. I went rollerblading in Tennessee and I hated it. So I said, can I switch? Because it was for centrifuge. And I said, can I switch my activities? And they said no. So then I went and hid out in my little dorm. And then that's when I discovered that all the good little Christian kids were having intimacy in the bunk.
They were in intercourse?
Yeah, because it was wrong and bad or whatever, but a lot of kids were fucking on centrifuge chips. I wasn't. I was doing all my activities, and then when I couldn't rollerblade down these mountains and I freaked out, I saw it firsthand.
There has to be so many people are getting HJs on those trips, right?
They have to, because when you're told, don't think about sex is wrong, cover yourself, then you're just like, oh, I guess I'll think about sex.
Yeah, I guess I'll just think about my covered breasts all the time.
Yeah, I guess I'll show them to Trevor.
Yeah, so I'm looking right now. There in 2016, there was a woman who died of heat stroke on one of the treks, and it looks like somebody was in 2008. People were killed during a handcart accident.
Oh, is that why Fancy Lachey says they had to put hand carts and it sounded like a fucking nightmare?
Yeah, I mean, it would be horrible, regardless of how we feel about the colonization and everything that was happening and that was probably not okay. The people on those treks also, it was still not fun at the same time. I'm sure they were suffering deeply. Everybody was kind of losing out. But I will say,
Oh, what's a hand cart, by the way? I'm going to look this up while you keep...
car you pull like that, right?
I'm just going to look it up.
This, like this? Like this?
Sorry, I don't want to... I'll look this up while you do that. Oh, okay.
The Netflix show is really good, and it does portray it in a way that is showing like how nasty everything was and how shitty, and there's just, you know, disease and murder and discord at all times during that time period. Yeah. So, I mean, I definitely think you guys should watch that show.
Very glad to be living in 2025, even though it is scary. I'm very glad to be here. And I read this book, and it's called Sapiens, and he talks about, you know, human rights aren't real, but he meant that in a way of saying we're only now discovering things like beating your wife is bad. You know, like my grandparents, they were just like
Are we just discovering it?
Are we just discovering it? I don't know. We might be going backwards in time.
I feel like a lot of people are saying like, hey, I think this is bad. And then there's like one guy going, shut up.
Yeah, shut up. But we're sort of like evolving and being like, oh, all of these things are bad. We should be better people, right? That's what he meant by it. But there's people taking it out of context because I'm seeing a lot more Instagram comments saying human rights aren't a real thing. And I don't know what kind of sassy fucking bitch does this shit, because you know it's like they mean human rights for me, not for you. Right?
Yeah, I mean...
I hate that. I hate it so much. Like, what do you mean human rights aren't a thing? How can I have a discussion with you, you sassy fucking cunt?
And it's then you have to sort of sort through which people are doing that to be antagonistic and which people actually feel like that, because I think both exist.
I mean, even if they're being antagonistic with it, fuck you too. And I went on some people's pages and they're being for real with it. Like,
I know.
I really think human rights aren't real, but like for me it does. A lot of them were on a carnivore diet, which I guess animal rights aren't real either.
Well, I mean, they don't give a fuck about that. But yeah, no, but we've been talking a lot about on the show the vertical versus horizontal morality and like how that completely changes how people view what's right and wrong.
Right.
Which vertical morality is when you are looking towards this one thing at the top. We were just talking about how before we were on air that we want to go back to telephone style gossip over getting misinformation from Zuckerberg.
Right.
Because it's like this one guy saying it and all of this trickle down is just like all these people stopping their thought processes, stopping their compassion, stopping their like, you know, deductive reasoning. They're just going like, well, he said it up there, instead of when you do telephone style gossip, because gossip's totally normal.
It's fine.
You have more of a chance to like critically think and also have all of these different voices next to you saying stuff. And so you can kind of sort through information
like,
differently and better.
How do you do that? How did Marilyn Manson remove his 2 ribs? Is there an actual surgery for that? And speaking of like, you know, this guy said it, a lot of our apps are being infiltrated by men who want to sell you a certain propaganda, and they're pushing down anything that disagrees.
Allegedly. They're claiming they're not, of course, but...
It fucking lies. Cut your cock off and eat it. I'm sorry. These fucking dudes. Let's show this this news article where birth control, Plan B, that's all being suppressed by Meta. It's being taken down by Meta. If we can find it. I don't know
if it's eMarketer. Yeah.
Yeah. Suspended accounts of abortion pill providers. So some states, it's legal to get a pill, and you should be able to have these ads in those states. But no, not at all. They just take it all down.
Yeah. And I haven't looked far enough into this if there is direct evidence, but I'm not saying that's not happening. Of course, I think that's completely plausible, but they're saying that's not happening. I think that regardless of whether or not they're pointedly doing it, because all of these companies have bent the knee to
All
the
of them.
president.
Twitter bent the knee. TikTok bent the knee.
I
I
get a lot of shit from leftists. I think TikTok's a very bad place. I know that there's good things there. I know that people were able to make good things happen inside of it, but it is literally designed to rot you from the inside. And also they are the absolute worst with rampant child trafficking stuff. Like they have no monitoring of it. And they can just be paid. People can be paid on the app in little bit bops. From TikTok, guys, I don't want to start on TikTok. I know I'm not a lot of people have that opinion on the left side of the world, but it's not. It's a bad place.
It is. Yeah, you either rot your brain or I'm getting like posts. There's a lot of insidious right-wing posts.
A ton of misinformation.
Where they start off by kind of sprinkling a little bit thing here, and then you're like, oh, that sounds, and you kind of breadcrumbed, and then before you know it, you're in the alt-right manosphere. Whenever they start saying things like starseed, or men and women just have our own unique skill sets.
Twin
flames, any of that shit. Get the fuck out. SARS 626. Also, Amber, the death dream was about my friend's car as they were driving, launching off a ramp into the sky, and as it plummets to the earth, and I sit there and I'm like, well, that's my fate.
I thought that you wrote IG. I thought you meant Instagram because my brain is broken. Well, that's my fate, Instagram. But you meant, I guess.
I am on the internet so much that when I look at a picture, I do this.
Oh, I've done that before too. It's like very cringe. Like I've done that before, or like at least thought about doing it.
Yeah.
Sometimes also when I'm editing, when I'm reading or like doing something off the computer, or like I make little crafts. Sometimes in my mind, I want to like Apple Control, delete the thing I just did, and I'm like, oh my god, I have to get off. I have to get off. Yeah, I do think we do need to have communication. I don't think social media apps are inherently evil, but
it's self-control about when to get off.
I do think sometimes the way people were talking about TikTok going away, they sounded like drug addicts because another app's going to show up. We don't need one app that's like going to save everybody or make everybody money.
Right.
Another one will roll through. And the last little thing that nobody's asked me for is I know people are making businesses happen on TikTok, but never ever base your business and life on one app because you can't let one person, one company control your life that much. You got to spread it out. Please. I'm saying this for everyone's own sake. TikTok is not like this mecca of goodness. Okay? That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
I know you're going to be mad.
We'll communicate at the rave. Speaking of internet stuff, I have a fun little video. Oh, should we read the subs first?
Oh, yeah. Thank you guys. Thin Mountain, thank you so much. Thank you, Mega Diptis 412. Fuck yeah, is that Pittsburgh? John Boy 2470. Czar, you're the fucking shit. You gift us subs all the time, and I really, really appreciate that. Thank you for doing that today. 25.
Yeah, and thank you for telling us your dreams. They're very important.
They're very scary and important.
Yeah. So I have a little video. Speaking of the internet, it's a little brain rot quiz, and I took it earlier today. I got 0 correct. So let's see how many you get right now.
Oh, God. Okay.
Can you pass the January 2025 brain rot quiz? Remember to comment your final score, and here we go. Question 1. Starting with some memes that were brought back. Finish the sentence. If you could just get up and teach them instead of handing them a frickin' blank.
I don't know what that is. Anyone?
A frickin' packet, yo. Question 2.
Oh, that is
what
a
is
Zoomer
Tristan
thing.
Tate's favorite whiskey?
Tristan Tate's favorite whiskey, Natalie. Go.
Andrew Tate's
Johnny
brother?
Walker. Question 3.
You think
now
I
for
would
some
know
new stuff.
that?
What TikToker
How
was
dare
revived
you?
after being left in 2024?
I don't know what he said. I'm already mad they're asking about the Tate brothers in this.
That was Vex Bolts. Question
Vex
4.
Bolts.
Is this alien geeked or locked in?
Geeked or locked in, Natalie?
Locked in.
Geeked or locked in? I think it's geeked.
He's locked in. Question 5. What country did this man buy a property in?
Fucking who is he?
This is a Zoomer quiz.
Who is he?
This
In
is for
Egypt.
children.
Question
In
6.
Egypt.
Who is this creature?
The Cyclops man.
Is that a penis on his
That
head?
is the Eye of Ra. Question 7. What group met up with the Bop House?
The Bop House, Natalie. What group met up with the Bop House?
I should be on a
That was
list
the
if
Yee
I can
Squad.
answer any of these.
Question
Squad.
8. What member of the Yee Squad actually got a date
If you're
with one of
over
the Bops?
23 and can answer these, somebody should call the police.
What Yee Squad member got a date at the
That
Bop
was
House,
Yee
Natalie?
Sloth.
Yee Sloth.
Question 9. What meme, despite being a year old,
This
is
is
still
barely
massive?
a language.
Wait, meme. Year old. It's now massive.
What?
That's if Ninja got a low taper fade.
Low
Question
taper
10.
fade.
Who is this guy who came back to the Cookieverse?
The cookie verse, Natalie.
Can
Who
you
is this
imagine
guy?
if I could answer these?
That is D1 Crash Out Sam Zia.
D1 Crash Out Sam Zia. You know, I was in the bathroom thinking about when I was in high school. My peak humor was wait, what was it called? Remember, he's refried beans. Instead of beside me, I'd sing refried beans. And now it's the Bop House, which is a porn show. Kids shouldn't know what that is.
I think this was for young adults. I'm upset that the Tate brothers are still just considered pop culture. They are fucking human traffickers.
I mean, this is what the kids are watching, Natalie. This is why we have the brain rot. The future looks bright.
I have to go.
I still quote Homestar Runner to this day. Yeah, the Tate brothers. There's two of them. But his favorite is Johnny Walker. Is that what it says? So now we learned something, everybody.
I'm making that a leave my brain.
And then
right
there's
now.
the Bop House Yee Squad. Got a date at the Bop House.
No one at this network should be able to answer those questions.
No, we're adults.
I'm going to check your hard drive. If you can. Okay?
Oh, I should start doing more of those so we can get hip with the kids.
Oh God, Amber, please don't go. Don't do that.
No, they'd be like, get away from me. You smell weird.
Good. I don't want them to like me. Get
No,
out of here.
I don't need to be in these child spaces.
All right, we gotta go.
All right, we gotta go. I love you guys. Have a good night. Bye.